Hi, I'm Kristin Maier. The story I'm about to tell can be found in my book, A Good Telling, Bringing Worship to Life with Story. It's called The Keeper of the Rain. Not so very long ago, in a land not so very different than this one, lived the Keeper of the Rain. Each day the Keeper of the Rain carefully watched the plants and creatures. When they began to droop with thirst, she whispered the word that brings the rain, and they stood tall again. Each day the Keeper of the Rain carefully listened to the rivers and streams, and when they swelled to a roar, she whispered the word that sends the rain away, and they were quiet again. After many such days, more than you or I could count, the Keeper was weary. She was tired of always watching, always listening, always paying attention to other things and beings. A new keeper had been born, but he was just a boy. It would be years before he was ready to take over. "I can't wait years," said the keeper. She went to find the boy. She heard splashing coming from the pond, and she peered through the cattails and saw the boy standing knee-deep in water. He bent over and plunged his hands to the bottom of the pond and stood up with an armload of muck and a wriggling crayfish. "He is young," thought the keeper, but then again so was I. She walked through the cattails and into the water. She bent over and for a few minutes whispered in the boy's ear. When she was done, she stood, smiled for the first time in ages, and walked away. The boy stood watching her for a while, until the crayfish wriggled loose and plopped back into the pond. He bent over and searched the creature and forgot all about the keeper and what she had told him. The boy stayed splashing and playing in the water until his lip turned blue and quivered. Then he tromped up through the sand and grass to the sun-warmed rocks. His favorite was low and flat and as ancient as the rain. The boy lay basking in the sun, listening to the peeping frogs and telling the rock his stories. And the rock listened and laughed in that low, rumbling way of rocks. The next day, the boy again stayed splashing and playing in the water till his lip turned blue and quivered. Then he tromped up through the sand and grass to the sun-warmed rocks. He lay basking in the sun, listening to the peeping frogs and telling the rock his stories. Then, all of a sudden, the sky turned dark. The wind became cool. A cold, wet raindrop fell on his back. "I don't like rain," said the boy, as more raindrops fell. And then he remembered the keeper and what she had told him. He whispered the word that sends the rain away, and the raindrops stopped. The sun reappeared. The boy lay back down on the rock. Each day after that, the boy splashed and played in the pond until his lips turned blue and quivered. Then he tromped up through the sand and grass to the sun-warmed rocks. He lay basking in the sun, listening to the peeping frogs and telling his stories. And if raindrops came, he simply whispered them away. Many such days passed. And as the boy lay basking in the sun, the rock asked, "Have you noticed? The trees and plants are turning yellow." The boy sat up and looked. "I like the color yellow," he said. "They need rain," said the rock. "I don't like rain," said the boy. "I know," said the rock. Many more such days passed. And as the boy lay basking in the sun, the rock asked, "Have you noticed? The trees and plants are turning brown." The boy sat up and looked. "I like the color brown," he said. "They need rain," said the rock. "I don't like rain," said the boy. "I know," said the rock. Many more such days passed. And as the boy lay basking in the sun, the rock asked, "Have you noticed? You have to walk farther to get to your pond." The boy sat up and looked. "Who moved my pond?" he said. "No one," said the rock. "It needs rain." The boy sat and listened for a moment. "It's too quiet," he said. "The frogs aren't peeping." "Frogs cannot live without rain," said the rock. "Nothing can." Then the boy felt a heaviness in his chest. He had no words to whisper it away. He felt the warm sun on his back, which felt so good, and the weight in his chest, which felt awful. Finally, he whispered the word that brings the rain. Cold, wet raindrops fell and the boy shivered. But he let it rain and rain and rain. And when the rivers and streams swelled to a roar, he whispered the word that sends the rain away. I still don't like rain, said the boy, but I love my pond. I know, said the rock. I know. The end. For the text of The Keeper of the Rain, and for more stories like it, and for tips on how to bring these stories to life, see my book, A Good Telling, Bringing Worship to Life with Story.